How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I am going to be ranking all 8 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead from the worst to the best. And with the conclusion of Season 8, we can finally take a look back on this series and all its ups and downs because this show is insane. In a little bit of a bad way, to be honest, because it's a roller coaster. There's some good parts, and then there's some absolutely terrible parts. But with that being said, let's just jump on into this. Starting off at number 8, my least favorite season of Fear the Walking Dead is Season 8. The newest season, the final season, and I already kind of reviewed the majority of this season, or at least the first 6 episodes, because I thought it'd be fun to do reviews, and then I just didn't really care to review the final 6 episodes because it got really, really bad. And there's just not a whole lot of good parts in this season. I mean, I will say I kind of liked in the first half of the season, the King County episode where Morgan gets to kind of, look around his old neighborhood and his old house. And that was pretty cool. I think that was just kind of pulling on my nostalgia strings a little bit. And yeah, I think that was the main reason I kind of enjoyed that part of the season. But then you get into the back half where it literally becomes a soap opera. I mean, it already was a soap opera before, but I mean, we have yet another resurrection of a character who we thought had died, and that being Troy Otto. Now, listen, I love Troy. He's one of the goats of the show, but he died in season 3. Like, he definitely died in season 3. Nope, he's alive. And this leaked a long time ago that he was going to return. And what they do with him in this season isn't even that interesting. They have him with this daughter of his, Tracy, who is, oh, that poor child actress, man. I mean, I feel bad for that girl because she can't even act, like, at all. And I don't even want to be that mean to her, honestly, because she's just a kid. Like, her acting was so bad that let's move on because I really can't say anything good about that actress, and I hope she gets some acting lessons moving forward. And she's like such an integral part of the final half of this season, and she's just uninteresting, and it's so silly. I will say, bringing Alicia back in the finale was cool. That's one of the highlights of the whole series, actually, because Madison and Alicia hadn't, been in a scene together since season 4, so that was pretty awesome. And I'm glad Alicia Debnam Carey actually decided to come back because that was a really good scene. But overall, this season's just not that good. They write Morgan out of the show, thankfully, because Morgan basically became the main character for quite a few seasons there. And his exit, I think, actually was handled relatively well. Like, it looks like he's actually going to be looking for Rick, so that's pretty neat. But yeah, not a whole lot of good things about this season. It's stupid. I didn't care. All the stuff with Shrike was boring and stupid, and all the damn bird names. Stop with that. So silly. So silly. But anyways, let's move on to my number 7 spot, which I have season 5. Now, this season should actually be at the very bottom of the list because this was the season that made me stop watching the show. I took a break after season 5, and I just didn't want to watch the show anymore because the way they ended this season was so stupid, with Morgan seemingly about to die, even though no one actually thought he was going to die. I mean, come on now. So silly. And the whole season is just very boring and dumb. I don't like what they were doing with the characters, them helping everyone and all that. The only reason this season's above season 8 for me is because this is Dwight's first season of Fear the Walking Dead. And it was really cool, actually, to see him interact with some of the Fear the Walking Dead characters. So, I don't know. That's really the only reason I put it above season 8. But overall, this season's not good. It's very boring. And yeah, it made me stop watching the show. That's just how bad it was. Anyways, moving on to number 6, I have season 7. And because I was able to binge watch this season, because, again, I took a break after season 5, and just binge season 6 and 7, I had a bit of a better experience with these seasons. However, season 7 is still pretty horrible. I mean, the first episode alone, they introduce us to this new character, they make us care for this guy, and then they immediately kill him at the end of that episode. what was the point of all of that? And they do that with like other characters in this season as well, where they introduce a character in episode and then they die at the very end. We have one of the worst episodes with Charlie and her like boyfriend or whatever. That was stupid. He dies at the end of that episode. They make us care for this person. I mean, I didn't really care that much about that guy, but they do that a lot this season. They introduce characters and they die the same episode they're introduced, and it's like, okay, what was all that about? Also, just a lot of more boring episodes. There's that boring episode where John Dory Sr. is like having hallucinations in the bunker of like a past case he was working on with, and he's like being haunted by a dead girl or something. Like, there's some really weird stuff in this season that's just absolutely terrible. But I do enjoy some of it. Like, I think the back half has a few relatively good moments. And I actually kind of like what they do with Strand in this season. I know that's a bit of a hot take. Like, everyone talks about how stupid it is to make Strand like this villainous figure, but I think a large part of the reason I kind of enjoyed it was because Coleman Domingo's just really good acting like villainous, even though the writing's terrible and some of the dialogue he says is so cringeworthy. But like, there's some fun moments where he's in charge of this tower and he's got like a sword. Like, it's so outlandish. It's almost entertaining, to be honest. But yeah, overall, this season isn't really that good. And also, this is Alicia's final season, and I guess Althea's final season, but honestly, who really cares about Althea at this point? So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting season, but overall, nothing amazing, and definitely has to be here towards, the bottom portion of the list. But anyways, moving on to number 5, I have season 6. And I remember when season 6 was first airing, again, I wasn't watching it live, but people were saying season 6 was actually pretty good, or at least the first few episodes were. And I have to admit, the first like half roughly of this season is solid. I enjoy it. I gotta say, I thought it was pretty neat what they were doing. I liked what they did with Morgan in that first episode, and I thought it was pretty entertaining. It was pretty neat. And I even thought John Dory's death was really sad and emotional, actually, even though I don't think they should have killed him off. Now, I don't know the behind-the-scenes stuff about that. Like, I don't know if Garrett Dillahunt wanted to be killed off or something, because I know that was the case with Frank Delane, who plays Nick. So I don't really know the behind-the-scenes stuff about that. But if that was just a writer's choice to just kill John Dory, stupid. But I don't know the behind-the-scenes reasons. But I thought overall it was pretty emotional, actually. And I'm glad that Dakota actually died at the end of this season, which Dakota gets like one of the best deaths in the entire Walking Dead universe, with obviously the bomb dropping and then her just getting vaporized. And I don't know if that's really the right word, vaporized, but you know what I'm talking about. That was just amazing. My jaw dropped. I was I was kind of cheering because I hated Dakota. I didn't want them to try and redeem her. They do a little bit, but they try and make you, feel bad for, like they did with Charlie, and it just, don't do that again. She killed John. I'm not falling for that again. And the main issues I have with season 6 and why it's ranked, I guess, towards the bottom here is in the second half, we have some downright terrible episodes. Downright terrible. I mean, we have In Dreams, which I think is the 12th episode. That is so, oh my God, it's ridiculous, where Grace is having those, I guess, dreams of the pink trees and all that and what life could be in the future or whatever. It's just like so stupid. It's like, this is correlating to absolutely nothing right now. This has nothing to do with the overall story right now. And it's just so, there are a few moments in the episode that do, I guess, relate back to the overarching plot and the overarching narrative of the season, but it was really goofy how they went about it. And yeah, there's just some stupid stuff that goes on in the second half, and it gets really dull really quickly. And so it's kind of a mixed bag. Season 6 is probably one of the most mixed bag seasons of the show because it starts off pretty damn strong and then just kind of fizzles out for me, at least a little bit. And but that's at number 5. Moving on to number 4, I have season 4. Now, season 4 is another kind of mixed bag season. This was the season that truly started the downfall of the show. But I actually really enjoyed the first few episodes and like the first half, similar to season 6. I thought this kind of reboot was really fresh and exciting, and that big time skip, and Morgan was actually going to be in the show now. That was super neat. They introduced John Dorie, and John Dorie is still one of the best characters of Fear the Walking Dead. I love John, as I'm sure everyone else does, but they also introduced like Althea, and I actually kind of enjoyed Althea in this season, but she becomes very boring very quickly. You also got the introduction of June, or Naomi at the time, and that was kind of fun. And I love that episode with June and John in the cabin. I think that was a really damn solid episode. Yes, the Nick death is sad, but obviously, as I previously mentioned, Frank Delane, everyone knows this already, Frank Delane wanted off the show. Not a whole lot you could do there. They should have done it a bit differently, I will admit, because then we see flashbacks of Nick throughout the rest of that first half, and it's really just weird because we already know Nick dies. So it's like, what's going on with that? And then, of course, you have the infamous Madison death where it's just, wow, that was the final straw. That was, what are you doing? Obviously, of course, Madison doesn't die there. As we all know, she comes back, but it is just really stupid. I mean, it is weird. Absolutely weird. And then the back half of the season, dreadful, horrible. I mean, it is so boring, so stupid, all of that. I don't feel like talking about it, honestly. It's very bad. So that's season 4. Anyways, moving on to the top 3, the good seasons, or the pretty decent seasons of the show. At number 3, I have season 2. And I think season 2 is pretty decent. And I really enjoyed seeing the ocean for the first time. This is kind of funny, but seeing the ocean for the first time in Fear the Walking Dead, because we hadn't seen that in the main show. I mean, this was before, if you guys remember, if you were part of the community when season 2 was coming out, it was kind of cool that they were on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Like, that was a new location we had never seen in the Walking Dead universe, and I thought that's something really memorable from this show. Them being on the Abigail, that was just really cool. But then once they get to Mexico, things kind of die down a little bit. We do have that awesome brawl with Travis and those 2 guys who, I guess, killed his son, and that was really badass. I mean, that was crazy. I really love the finale of this season. I think that's really solid, but I do think like the middle portion of the season is kind of boring. Like we have that Nick episode where he's just like trying to survive out in the desert, and it's just, I think the episode's called Grotesque. Yeah, that was not a very interesting episode. It was just kind of boring, very slow paced, very much a bottle episode. But yeah, the first few episodes of the season were really solid, and I don't know, I thought it was like a new location we had never seen before in the Walking Dead universe, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, season 2, not perfect, but like the writing's way better than the later seasons. I mean, this is a pretty solid season, I'll say that. Anyways, moving on to number 2, I have season 1. And I do kind of go back and forth between season 1 and season 3, but I ultimately decided to put season 1 at number 2 because I remember actually watching it and being a little bored. I'm not going to lie. The first time I watched season 1, I was a little bored. But then we have that epic finale, which is still like a top 5 episode of the show, which is absolutely insane. The season 1 finale is so good. It was so exciting. And this season actually delivered with the premise and the whole idea of the show, and that's to show what actually was going on when Rick was in a coma and to show the downfall of the world and the beginning of the apocalypse. Like, that's what this show was supposed to be about, and it actually showed that in this season, and it was really interesting. But yeah, I do think there's like a few episodes. It's a very short season, but there's like 2 episodes in the middle that are kind of boring. Like, I remember people saying when this was airing at the time that there weren't enough walkers in it. And I agree, but also it's like, well, it's the beginning of the apocalypse, so there's not going to be that many, really. But then in the season 1 finale, it's just a really exciting finale overall, and it kind of like almost made up for the whole season. Not that the rest of the season's bad, but that season 1 finale is just so amazing. And I don't know, it was really good, and it makes me sad that the show can never really produce more episodes like that. Well, I guess they kind of did for season 3, which is my number 1 spot. Season 3 is fantastic, and a lot of people like to say it's the best season, and I have to agree. It is really, it's when the show was at its peak. And there was a period of time when people were saying, because I think this was when Walking Dead was airing season 7 or 8, I think it was season 7. People were saying season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead is better than The Walking Dead. People were saying that Fear was better than the main show. That's how good this season was. Do you guys remember that? That's crazy. But yeah, season 3 is really solid. I mean, of course, you have Troy Otto and Jeremiah. They're great characters. And also, like, the sudden death of Travis at the beginning was so shocking. I don't know if that was the best way to kill him off, but I guess his story had kind of already ended at the end of season 2 with Chris's death because, like, I guess that was the whole point of Travis's characters. I mean, he lost his wife, or his ex-wife, and then he lost Chris, and I guess, like, he had lost everything. I don't know. Was that the whole point of Travis's character? I do have mixed opinions on his death, but it is interesting. It was so shocking, so it really was amazing. And the ending, obviously, where Madison kills Troy, that was a great scene as well. But then Troy comes back. They retcon Troy's death, and it's so stupid. And yeah, I don't know. But there's just a lot of great moments in this season, and it's so exciting. The writing is at its best, and it's actually interesting. And we see the characters start to change a lot in this season as well. Again, they don't go anywhere with that in later seasons, but I really do love season 3. And it's some solid stuff. Even though I wouldn't say it's like an amazing season. I don't know. Like, Fear the Walking Dead's a weird show because I never thought it was like incredible. I thought at best it was pretty good. But season 3, like, in the grand scheme of things, is an amazing season, I guess, because when you compare it to the other seasons, it's really bad. Or it's really good because the rest of the seasons are just, I mean, there's a lot of bad seasons of this show, so I don't know. But that's really all I got to say. That's kind of my ranking. Interesting show overall. So let me hear your thoughts and opinions and your rankings in the comments. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. And if you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my letterbox and Twitter in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.